community, and loyal customers that continue to drive that money-saving mile to Louisville, Nebraska. Hi, this is Sean Callahan. I can proudly say I bought my car at Koppel. If you are in the area, I invite you to stop by Koppel Chevrolet GMC's offices in Louisville or check them out online at koppelcars.com. On behalf of Koppel Chevrolet GMC, Merry Christmas and safe travels to all.
Hey everyone, Lance here with Black Label. We specialize in creating custom crafted decks, pergolas, patio covers, and more. Plus, our retractable screens, gazebos, and patio enclosures create the ultimate outdoor retreat. With over 50 years of combined experience, we're not just builders, we're creators of unforgettable memories.
Call them today at 402-730-6333 or visit blacklabelbuilt.com for a free consultation.
Let's turn your backyard dreams into reality.
Black Label Built, built to serve, built to last.
Ryan, with all this red and all these people around, I'm still not seeing the tailgate.
Todd Spidell, former body shop owner, terrible driver.
We're getting close. Now, did you know with 3 locations in Lincoln and hundreds of years of combined technician experience, we can get Husker fans back on the road even quicker and safer after their tailgate mishaps? Oh, Todd, turn left right here.
Left or right?
Left, right here.
Right?
Well, you wait for the tow truck. I'm getting a hot dog.
Well, I guess while I'm waiting. All right! Most recommended! Eustace Body Shop! Woohoo!
Dude, you should be on American Idol.
You really think so?
No.
Accidents happen, even to Husker fans. If it happens to you, call Eustace Body Shop, where our customers send their friends.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
Wrestling fans, it's time to elevate your game, just like Stevens & Smith Construction does for your concrete needs. As your full-service concrete contractor, we deliver solid results every time. From singles to doubles, fighting for inside position to scrambling reversals, we know how to pin down quality and slam expectations. Stevens & Smith Construction, a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket, where Husker wrestlers bring you all the action. Don't stall. Stevens & Smith Construction is here to help you build a concrete foundation for the win. Check us out at www.stevensandsmith.com because stalling is a penalty and winning is the only option.
Nebraska Veterans Aid is here for veterans and dependents facing unforeseen financial emergencies. Get assistance with food, fuel, shelter, clothing, transportation, and even funeral and medical expenses. If you're a veteran facing a financial emergency, apply for Nebraska Veterans Aid through your county veteran service officer. Learn more at veterans.nebraska.gov/NVA. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
New year, new you? Barrel's Extreme Body Shaping can help make sure you keep that resolution this time. Our proven system combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition, along with our expert coaching to make sure you're moving forward toward your goals. The next 10-week challenge starts January 11th, but if you enroll now, you can start today and get a head start on those gains for no extra cost. Plus, head to fxblincoln.com and you can save $100. Don't wait. Barrel's Extreme Body Shaping at 40th and Yankee Hill and 70th and Vine.
This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for 3! You've called out the thunder. Now get ready for the boom! Gaze the face of fear. Booga booga!
Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman.
I think we're getting scammed by a kindergartner.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America, on air and online at theticketfm.com.
Quick thinking yesterday with that special talents thing. I feel bad for the guy. Just hope he doesn't get wise.
This is On the Block with Strick and Austin, presented by Nebco.
Welcome into On the Block on a Wednesday. Thanks for being along for the ride. I am Austin Norman. Strick jumping on in just about an hour. But until then, the one, the only Jake Bakoven, continuing his shift here in studio. Bach, you switched chairs, though. Is it a little more comfy, a little less comfy? I can give you this chair if you need it.
No, it's all right over here. I think it's some of our other guests have warmed it up for me. So, yeah, I like it over here. It's a little bit of a different view of the world.
You get the full window. You get more of the West O Street side rather than the corner side. Anything interesting happening behind me where I can't see? Or are we pretty calm right
now? Traffic is always good to look at.
That it is. We do have camera one for those of you that don't always get to see it. This is the view that we see from outside our window. If you want to look out our window too, just stop by the studio. Yeah. We're here. Come say hi. We'd love to see you. Big thanks to Nebco for their sponsorship here of On the Block. As always, Nebco's operations span the state of Nebraska and supply the construction industry with the materials needed to construct buildings, streets, and highways. Nebco's been in business since 1908. They're a fourth-generation, family-owned and operated business with over 1,200 employees and 26 companies throughout Nebraska. Visit nebcoinc.com to learn more. 402-464-5685. Westy says, I'm digging the new Christmassy intro. Westy, you're the first person to say something. I'm glad you appreciate it. Rico and I put our heads together. We started working on that last week, a couple weeks ago. I don't know, but it finally got done. It was the last thing Rico did before he left us.
That's right.
So that'll be his enduring legacy. So yeah, I appreciate you you saying that you like.
He'll be back. Don't worry.
We hope.
Well,
I won't promise then. No. We'll have Rico back on Monday, hopefully. We'll see. Nebraska volleyball, of course, taking place this weekend. Probably get a check-in from Rico in the next couple days, see how things are going there in Derby City. Race for the Roses, all that going on in Louisville. Not quite SEC country, kind of SEC country. I suppose Louisville's in Kentucky. But the University of Kentucky is not obviously in Louisville. But Bach, the SEC, Kentucky, ironically enough, will be one of 10 schools that will be part of this SEC and Netflix documentary. It'll be a reflective on the 2024 season. 10 of the 16 schools in the SEC agreed to participate in this, including Tennessee, who's, of course, in the college football playoff right now. The series is being put on for Netflix by a company that also did the PGA documentary and the Formula One Drive to Survive sort of documentary. This SEC one will come out over the summer of 2025. It'll be 8 episodes that are 45 minutes or so in length. When you hear that the SEC is doing a documentary for 10 of its 16 programs, first of all, just what do you think about a Netflix documentary on half the SEC?
Well, I mean, I like it. I think we're seeing more and more of these kind of behind the scenes type of looks from various different companies. Of course, we've got the, immediately kind of makes me think of Chasing 3 and what Nebraska did, right, obviously on YouTube, BTN for years in basketball season, particularly. I mean, they've done it in football season too, but I just remember the basketball season ones more so than the others for some reason. It kind of documents these sort of things. So, I mean, I think they're fantastic. I think it's been great. I do think, and I've said for a long time, Nebraska would seemingly have, at least I'm no branding expert, but they might have some sort of connection with that might work out well with Netflix if they ever wanted to,
right,
to get together with that. But so I always thought that was an opportunity that's there. But for the SEC, I think that's fantastic. Especially, that's along with the Big Ten, the biggest conference in college football, or the biggest conferences in college football. Mm-hmm. So a little bit disappointed. I don't see Alabama or Georgia on the list. So there's a few teams that I'd like to see a little bit more involved. But Trev Alberts might make an appearance over there at Texas A&M. So I think it's fantastic for the growth of the game. That might be an outlet that some folks, might draw people into the game, because it's not necessarily a cable outlet. So, people might be interested by running into it. But for the most part, it's going to be college football fans enjoying college football content.
You mentioned the teams that are in and out, right? No Alabama, no Georgia, no Texas immediately come to mind. No Ole Miss as well. The teams that opted in, we mentioned Kentucky, we mentioned Tennessee. You get Arkansas, you get Auburn, Florida, Kentucky, LSU, Mississippi State, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt. Of those schools, which are you most excited to see behind the scenes into?
Well, I think Tennessee, like you said, making a playoff run would be one. Texas A&M for our own reasons, just to see how things are going
Right.
on up there, down there. But I think for the season, for like the most exciting season, some of those teams had disappointing seasons. Vanderbilt certainly had some moments, and South Carolina certainly had some moments. So it's very rare that you would say, "Hey, what are you most excited to see about the SEC?" And I'd say Vanderbilt and South Carolina. But I mean, those are going to be kind of the high points, I believe, of those shows there at some of those big victories that those teams were able to get.
I think South Carolina, especially at the end of the year, thinking it had an outside shot to get into the college football playoff with its win over Clemson will be interesting. Vandy, it's got to build up to that win over Alabama.
Yeah.
Not that it was all downhill for Vandy from there, but pretty much it was all downhill for Vandy from that point. The two others that I think stand out to me are, number one on my list would be Florida. Think about the conversation around Billy Napier coming into the year. Just how tense was it in that building, especially to start the year? Graham Mertz is still playing, obviously, and then Graham Mertz goes down with the injury. So DJ Lagway takes over. I'd be curious to see if there's a vibe shift that you can tell in the documentary with Florida. And almost on the opposite way, LSU, right? USC beats them. USC's back hyped. LSU gets back on the horse. They play pretty well and fade a little bit down the stretch to take themselves out of college football playoff consideration. Brian Kelly is not necessarily the most interesting or intriguing character to me, but he's probably did something or said something really dumb, has a very red face at some point that is going to be absolute must see. I would say TV, except obviously it is not TV. Westy says Florida Billy Boys potentially on the hot seat this year, and I feel as if they're always on top in recruiting. Yeah, they've been really putting it together with the transfer portal class and even their signing day class with DJ Lagway at quarterback now. And then Old Dad 34, Bach, are you a closet SEC fan?
Not much of a closet fan. I'm just an SEC fan. I've been saying it for years. It is the best conference, I believe, in college football. If you kind of look back, like each individual year, you can make an argument maybe for the Big Ten here, making a jump. Obviously, Michigan winning the title last year, but you look at since the mid 2000s, they've won a majority of the titles. The ones that aren't won are usually won by Southern teams. That's not to say that I don't cheer. I mean, I would cheer more for the Big Ten. So the Big Ten or whatever conference Nebraska in, to be honest with you, is a conference that I'll like the most. But I do love SEC football, and it's for a similar reason that I like the Big Ten. Is the passionate fan bases, the big stadiums, the big feel of those games, the crazy fans as far as that the programs go in the wrong directions that we're kind of looking at potentially here. There's absolutely the most passion in college football in the SEC and in select locations in the Big Ten. So it's an incredible conference. I know people always want to argue against it or say they cheated and all that stuff all over the years. And especially, back when Nebraska was competing for national titles and, you wanted to argue on your conference's behalf, but when Nebraska's 5-7 or 6-6, they're I don't know how much arguing our conference is better than yours really helps. We all can just kind of look in the mirror and say Nebraska needs to improve quite a bit to get back into that argument. So I don't know. I'm not. Are you a huge die by the conference guy?
Absolutely not. In fact, more often than not, I want the rest of the conference to die.
You don't like the conference.
I am not a conference rooter. I absolutely am not. You may or may not have heard. Rico popped in here last week with the news that Creighton beat Texas, and I went off on Rico for it. I know Creighton's not in the same conference as Nebraska. They're the same state, close enough. I'm not rooting for him.
Not into it.
I'm not doing it. I understand how, like for example, in the ACC basketball world yesterday, right? Florida gets up big on Carolina. Carolina comes storming back. Florida ends up winning. Like, Duke fans on Twitter were going through it. Like, obviously we have to root for Carolina to lose, but the rest of the ACC is so crappy. Someone needs a marquee victory besides us and Clemson. So maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing for Carolina. Now, screw that. I'm out on it.
Yeah.
I want to lose every single game they play.
See, I don't know. I think it's like familiarity with the teams, right? Like year in and year out, you follow the conferences, but the conference is getting bigger and bigger. You're not going to play the same teams every year, so that might also fall by the wayside. But I just like following the other teams and kind of being able to follow their programs a little bit closer and better, and then having them actually play your team and see how it plays out.
Mm-hmm.
But I also get it. Like, your rivals are usually in your conference. Of course, Nebraska's kind of lost in that too. Iowa's now the rival, but so there are some teams that I just won't cheer for, regardless. Like Texas, it was tough too. But I'll even admit it. Like 2005, I started to cheer for Texas in that championship game. So I'm a conference guy. I always kind of have been. I don't know why necessarily. Again, I think back in the day when Nebraska was competing, then there was like some value to being like, well, yeah, but this loss would, they defeat all these SEC teams or whatever. Now there's less value to it as a Nebraska fan, but I still like to hold the flag bearer of the conference.
I respect it, even if I respectfully disagree. Eric, one of our favorites here on the text line, says, "Oh, bleep off, Bach. Bach also believes there wasn't a second left on the clock." Eric, give Bach a moment. See, he came around to tell you he would never root for Texas.
That's right.
But do you believe there was a second left on the clock?
I think there was. I mean, if you slow down the time, I think there was when it hit that thing out of bounds. Also, yeah, I mean, I don't know if if the clock ran out, should they have put a second back on? I don't know. I mean, I always thought they should do like a basketball. Like if you did a basketball second, I think there would be more than 0.00 on the clock, is my argument.
Sure.
So yeah.
Sure. That's fair. Eric says, "Oh, you flip-flopper." Cut the man some slack, Eric. Cut the man some slack. Back to this SEC and Netflix documentary. It is interesting, Bach. The SEC spokesman said once they got to a majority of the teams that were on board with it, they told Netflix basically, go ahead, we'll finish the contract details later. Schools can opt in or opt out in subsequent years. So this won't just be a one-year thing. This is apparently going to be a series throughout at least the next few years. So maybe down the line, we do get an Alabama appearance, a Georgia appearance, an Ole Miss appearance potentially as well. But I think to me, the key paragraph here from this write-up from The Athletic is the second to last paragraph that I'm reading here. It says, "There was initially some reluctance from SEC teams concerned about giving an outside network too much access," sources around the conference have said. "But there was also some worry that if the SEC balked, Netflix would go to the Big Ten, and ultimately the conference and majority of schools were attracted to the chance to advertise their programs in a different way."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think an SEC documentary will do better than a Big Ten documentary. I think they're more interesting characters and more interesting programs almost across the board in the SEC, even if I, push back a little bit on the best conference and top teams narrative. But again, that's fine to teach their own. But the SEC doesn't seem like it necessarily wanted to do this for itself as much as it wanted to keep it out of the Big Ten's hands. There's some real back and forth going on between these conferences. No matter how many times Tony Petitti and Greg Sankey sit at the same folding table tucked away in Nashville or wherever they were, they're competitors. They're working together, but also against each other. So credit the SEC for saying, yeah, even if we don't want to, we don't want the other guys to, so I guess we have to.
Yeah, it's interesting because, again, as opposed to chasing three, you may have noticed less of those episodes came out as the season went on because Nebraska started losing. So, they didn't want to, it's an in-house thing. You don't want to, paint a bad light on the program. I think with Netflix, working so closely with the SEC, you want to be able to do it again. You want access back into the program the next year. I don't know how long this deal is, but so you're going to try to do it, but you're not going to be as careful about every single detail or providing it, putting those teams in a good light. So I understand the fear from the SEC, but it is fascinating as we move forward and in the next 10 years. I mean, who knows what college football is going to look like in 10 years, right? But the idea is that the SEC and the Big Ten can continue to be bigger, stronger, and kind of bully around college football. I was surprised that they've allowed this current playoff setting the way it is. As they continue to build more power. But at some point too, you wonder, and that's what it is. At least, at some point there's going to be some money changing hands. But, if you imagine if they ever did work together, then you could have this, you would think of kind of this all encompassing NFL type of movement moving forward,
right?
To get, everything in one league. So I don't know. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. And Netflix always makes a lot of sense to me, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
the giant that it is now. So I would like to see the Big Ten. I mean, I don't know how many, how successful this is, but you could see the Big Ten doing a similar thing, although they've got their different partners they work with.
We need to go to the text line and answer this question. Money G in Kansas hears this conversation, Bach, and asks, who are the 5 teams you can't cheer for? I have mine right now.
Yeah.
I didn't have to think about this one. Creighton, Carolina, Wisconsin, Iowa, Kansas.
So all in college football.
I just took it as college in general.
Yeah.
Because like I've given my Creighton rant a number of times. Carolina, I mean, come on. Wisconsin, I wish would have been a rivalry, but very clearly isn't, and they just annoy me. Iowa, because obviously, and Kansas makes me want to just gag myself with a spoon. So those are the 5 college teams and programs I will never root for, basically regardless of sport.
Well, I can appreciate that. Mine's really I've been divided as a Nebraska fan among my rivalries. Texas still stands out to me the most. I just even watching Texas Oklahoma. I mean, Oklahoma's really close, so Texas and Oklahoma would probably be up there. I've been somewhat known as an Iowa sympathizer. I do like Iowa's brand of football. So I would not say Iowa actually. Okay. I'd have to go outside the sport. I'd say the Yankees definitely. You know, sure. Going back to that. Don't have much love for the Lakers, so I'd have to go outside of college football to get my 5. But in college football, it'd probably just be Texas and Oklahoma.
Fair enough. Money G's list was Miami, Florida, Texas, Colorado, and Kansas State. Little old Kansas State gets a mention. That was pretty interesting. Eric says Colorado, Texas, Missouri, Iowa, and Creighton. He says, Creighton. He also says the Patriots. And then JP says, if you're a lifelong Husker fan and don't add Texas into this mix, there's something wrong. Here's the thing, JP. I would have said Texas, like, almost without a doubt, except that I was pulling for Texas to beat Creighton in volleyball. That is why Texas did not make my list, right? Texas football, am I rooting for them? No. Do they annoy me as much as they used to? Also, no. Because I still think, in retrospect, the best thing for Nebraska to do is wait out the nature of Texas, which is to upset the apple cart and then run away. I still think Nebraska could have been pretty well positioned in the current Big 12, but guess what? Not happening. Didn't happen. We've moved on. So I don't want to say I've forgiven Texas, but I'm just dealing with the reality of the situation. Is that Nebraska's in the Big 10, Texas is in the SEC. Would they be a plucky underdog if they come all the way from the 5 seed to win the national championship? Not exactly. But I can honestly say I'm not as annoyed or upset with Texas now as I thought I would be if you would have asked me 15 years ago.
Yeah, well, it's obviously just not playing them. I mean, for the longest time, Nebraska just, if you're around for 96, you're pretty upset, obviously, costing them a championship opportunity. Same thing in 99. The 1 second in 2009, close games. And Nebraska just never was really able to beat Texas, I think maybe once in the Big 12.
No, they didn't.
Nebraska
even beat them still hasn't beat Texas.
Well, in 99, they beat them in the championship game, but they lost to them early in the season. Yeah, but so that was, but Texas, I always feel kind of weird because I don't know if Texas considers Nebraska a rival necessarily. And so, I always kind of feel like that's a one-sided hatred. And Texas gets that from a lot of fan bases.
Right.
So that's just kind of a college football thing.
Texas's rivals are Oklahoma, and is A&M a rival for them? Or is A&M another one that wants Texas to be a rival? That Texas says, whatever.
Yeah, I would consider it a rivalry, but I think it's somewhere in that range too. But especially in the being the 2 Texas teams in the SEC moving forward, it will be. But yeah, Oklahoma's is their big rival.
Yeah. Westy says Iowa has bad corn, horns down. Florida anything, can't stand Notre Dame, and then Colorado. Rod in South Lincoln says Texas, and it's not even close. And Money G in Kansas says your age will definitely have something to do with this. If you're saying Florida and Miami, you're probably 50 years old or so. Yeah, like I understand Florida. I don't get Florida. Let me take that back. Miami, duh. Obviously, like even I felt that in, what was that, 2013, 2014, whatever that was, that game here in Lincoln. Yeah, you felt that one. Nebraska won the game, and then I can just kind of ignore Miami pretty much, right? They went away. I have no ill will for them right now necessarily. Florida, I understand less. I would need an explanation. Now, Florida State, I would absolutely understand. But why is it Florida, not Florida State? That's the question I want the text line to answer.
Yeah, I think people just group all the Florida teams in kind of that bowl struggle that Nebraska would have. That go, have to go down to the Orange Bowl and play Miami at home or whatever. Right. For several years. Remember, they had a pretty long bowl losing streak right before the tide turned and they started winning all those titles in the 90s. So, Yeah, I could see that. And I think it just goes through waves. You know, at one time, yes, I absolutely hated Wisconsin. At one time, I absolutely hated Kansas State in the late 90s. Colorado had their turn. But I've also learned over the years, too, is like especially like Texas kind of brought this about, was that I want the teams that I hate to at least be in contention. Because it's nice that for 1 year, if they go 4-8 and you make fun of them and you get it, you know, but if they do that for like 3 years, then you just kind of lose passion for the hatred.
Do you though?
I do to a degree.
You? Okay. See, you bring up an interesting point. We got to get out of here in just a sec so we can get Evan Blaine of the Omaha World Herald. Like, you're onto something, because I want like North Carolina to lose every game it ever plays and everything ever. But that does to some degree take some of the fun out of it, right?
Absolutely.
But part of the problem is that if the other team's good, they can beat you. And you don't want them to beat you. So it's best to beat a good team, obviously, but then it's best to beat a really crappy team that you just kind of pile on. And then it's better to lose to a better team. Then if you lose to your rival's worst team in like 15 years or whatever, then there's just no coming back from it. So there's the risk and rewards from all of those sides. So it's fascinating. We love rivalries. A couple more things on the text line. Richie Rich, hey, I'm 50. Don't come at me. Hate Texas and Colorado. Richie Rich, I am not coming at you, right? But I think we did have kind of that dividing line there for people that hate Florida schools. And I do think it is older than me and Bach right now. So interesting stuff. We're going to go to break. Bach, appreciate you sitting in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get Evan Blaine of the Omaha World Herald on the horn. Talk to him next.
Follow Austin, Strick, and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
If you're sick of catering from the same places every month, it's time to switch things up. Mulberry Barbecue is perfect for business lunches and dinners, family gatherings, holiday parties, wedding receptions, rehearsal dinners, and so much more. Delivery and full service options are available, and they can cater for anything from 10 people to 500 people. Call them at 402-937-7114 to look at their menu options and get your catering booked today. Mulberry Barbecue, located at 11th and Cornhusker Highway. As a proud member of the Roofing and Solar Reform Alliance, Coalition Restoration stands out by providing thorough property assessments, personalized customer service, and top-notch craftsmanship. With years of experience in the industry, Coalition Restoration has built a notable reputation for having a team filled with skilled professionals and possessing the expertise to handle any roofing project, big or small. Visit their website today for a free roof assessment at www.coalitionrestoration.com or give them a call at 402-607-8186.
At Koppel, during the holidays, we take time to cherish our terrific staff, community, and loyal customers that continue to drive that money-saving mile to Louisville, Nebraska. Hi, this is Sean Callahan. I can proudly say I bought my car at Koppel. If you are in the area, I invite you to stop by Koppel Chevrolet GMC's offices in Louisville or check them out online at koppelcars.com. On behalf of Koppel Chevrolet GMC, Merry Christmas and safe travels to all.
The holiday season is here, and Sartor Heyman is making your shopping easy. Shop our wide selection of necklaces, earrings, or bracelets to our amazing line of watches. Looking for something truly unique? Consider our estate jewelry, or even build your own custom handcrafted piece with our in-house designers. The perfect gift at the perfect price. Christmas memories start with family and Sartor Heyman.
Not many businesses can say they've made it 60 years, but Madsen's Bowling and Billiards can. With 12 bowling lanes and the biggest pool room in Nebraska, where else would you go to enjoy an afternoon or evening? There's a great daily specials like $2 Tuesdays, games of bowling, shoe rentals, draft beers, and tacos, all just $2 each. Have a delicious burger at EJ's Lounge before or after your bowling or pool session, and you'll leave satisfied. Madsen's Bowling and Billiards at 47th and Dudley.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue.
It's $5.99 barbecue time. Hurry to Hog Wild for a complete barbecue meal that's only $5.99. Get a one-meat sandwich loaded with our award-winning barbecue, plus your choice of a classic side and drink for just $5.99. Upgrade your sandwich to beef brisket for just $1 more. Join us for lunch or dinner in Lincoln at 3210 Cornhusker Highway. Order online at GoHogWild.com.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Have you been accused of a crime and don't know where to turn? At Liberty Law Group, we understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you're up against the legal system, you need an advocate you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. Liberty Law's experienced trial attorneys are committed to the defense of liberty for those accused. Don't let a criminal charge ruin your life. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Liberty Law Group, trial attorneys you need, advocates you deserve. That's 877-42-LIBERTY or libertylawnebraska.com.
Looking for a last-minute Christmas gift for the Husker fan and the family? Look no further. Share the Husker spirit by purchasing a women's basketball starting 5 mini plan today for just $65. The plan includes reserved seats for 5 home Big Ten matches for just $65. The Big Ten schedule is packed, with the Huskers hosting 7 contests against 2024 postseason qualifiers. Help us show the Big Ten what Husker Nation is all about by purchasing your starting 5 mini plan today. Don't wait. Head over to huskers.com/tickets and secure your seat. Go Big Red.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to On the Block. Austin Norman with you. Appreciate Bach sitting in there with these Strick out till hour 2 of today's show. It's 2:30 on a Wednesday, which means we're going to our VIP line brought to you by Aloe Fiber. That's where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. We'll welcome in Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Evan, I'm going to spring this one on you because it was sprung on us by our text line last segment. Think back, whether it's young Evan or maybe it's now. I don't want to put a time frame on this. Who are the teams, college or professional, that you can never root for?
Well, so we're putting a lot of personal biases in here.
We are.
Well, let's see. I mean, I'm a Cubs fan, so I could never root for the St. Louis Cardinals. I became a Denver Broncos fan in the late 90s, and so rooting for the Packers really felt like a no-no. And at the college level, it was obviously hard to root for Texas in anything. So those are the ones that come to mind. But sometimes rooting against teams is actually more fun than rooting for teams. I think at times, like if you're rooting out of spite as opposed to out of a positive passion, sometimes that's just as satisfying when you see those kind of teams go down.
Oh, trust me, I am familiar. I called that basically the entire Maui Invitational this last year. So I am more than familiar with spite rooting. You're the first person I've talked to bring up the Chicago Cubs. How you feeling about that Kyle Tucker trade?
I like the Tucker trade. I was not as big of a fan of the Cody Bellinger trade for a reliever from the Yankees. He had 2 years of eligibility left, so I don't really know what that one was all about. But I like the Tucker deal. It just